welcome to episode 85 of Bigger About Geek Speak. My name is Alex, I'm a self-appointed Baroness of Butts, and I'm your host for tonight as Lauren is busy working unfortunately. But please do send her some virtual love. She won't be working when you hear this episode, but I feel like the good vibes will catch up with her eventually, and that is good. But I'm not alone today, lucky you guys, because I'm joined as always by jauntily jubilant juggernaut of Joe.
Hello!
Hi!
Hi!
You could have said something, you don't have to follow up my weird butts thing anymore.
No?
No.
Oh. But what if I like doing that?
Okay, fine. And we also have someone who Joe professed love to, and I do have that recorded.
100%. I would never take it back, tell you the truth.
It's dangerously darling Diarmuid.
Hello there, and thank you, Joe.
How could anyone not love that voice, though, honestly?
Yeah, I know. It's a mystery even to me.
I just said some very dirty, disturbing images of Diarmuid enjoying his own voice.
No, I'm not a deviant.
Yeah, I went on some weird path right there. But you know, guys, I feel like we've been hanging out the whole day today because we've just been playing Overwatch.
That's right, yeah.
Because we have been hanging out the whole day today.
A fairly serious Overwatch session this morning. It's quite good.
And now we're chatting here. And on the topic of Overwatch, I'm gonna include this in the time waster of the week because I've been annoying guys with this a lot. But Cloud, one of our friends, recommended this channel to us in general, but for some reason I got hooked up more than most. But this channel is Unit Lost. It's run by this guy called Stylosa, and he was actually one of the guys representing UK in the Overwatch World Cup. Didn't go very far, I'll say that, but he's still really, really good. And among the various Overwatch videos he does, the really cool series that I've really enjoyed and I felt was really helpful in me being a better player and even getting better at certain characters, it's called OverAnalyzed. So anyone can send Stylosa his link to their YouTube video of their playthrough. And then what Stylosa does, he makes a video analyzing their play and pointing out what they could have done better, what they did do well, which are really good, really detailed. He has like magic markers where he draws and it's like, no, you should have stood there and attacked them from that position, blah blah blah. Anyway, they're really good. It's one of the things why I became kind of really vocalist, because he's like, if you're playing support, you have to tell him, I've got my revive, jump in there, and I've got my ult and blah blah blah. So yeah, so that's why I've been shouting at you guys a lot today morning. I'm sorry. Blame Stylosa.
That's okay, we're used to it. We're used to it.
It's fine. I don't go and cry in the corner afterwards at all.
Not anymore, anyway.
Everyone shouts at me.
I'll just sip my wine here guiltily.
No, it's good. It is good to have someone who kind of knows a bit more what they're doing, like tell us what to do. Because it can get a bit overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, I haven't watched this particular playlist, but I have watched the videos that, as you mentioned, Cloud shared with us. And I like the ones where he kind of covers maps as well. So he kind of says, okay, just an example strategy, but this is how you should attack this particular map in Ilios, for instance. And he kind of places, where the tanks should be, where the supports should be, what you should do when this happens, what you should do when this happens. And it kind of, the way he talks about it and the way he kind of illustrates his points, again, similar to what Alex said, is like a magic marker over the top of the screen. But he takes a screenshot and he moves the characters around just to show you where they should be, and he explains why, and it all kind of makes sense. And it's one of those things that people who want to genuinely get better at Overwatch, this is probably something you should kind of lould at. Even I don't think he's ever patronizing. I don't think he's ever particularly mean or anything. He just kind of he just kind of says, this is what you should be doing, this is what you shouldn't be doing, and this is why. And he kind of explains it in a way that doesn't make you feel bad. It makes you kind of go, oh yeah, maybe I should do it this way, or maybe I'm doing this pretty well, but I could be better by, and it's really well done, actually. Yeah, I haven't watched the OverAnalyzed playlist, so I'm going to go through that later on. But the map ones on his channel are very good as well.
I mean, especially think about OverAnalyzed. You could really kind of misstep and really get onto someone's case for doing something wrong, and he really never does that. And another great thing about the OverAnalyzed videos that it doesn't really matter which competitive rank you are. He's done videos about someone who's been bronze and about someone who's been master. So there's a whole range range of different gameplays that he has covered, which is also, I think, is really, really good.
Very nice.
Cool. Yeah, I keep meaning to watch them. I haven't sort of sat down and watched them all. But yeah, I mean, we did all right this morning, I kind of think. I definitely feel like as we've played the game more and more, we've all improved in our own sort of different ways. But like with everyone, even the masters, there's areas for improvement for everyone. So things like this are really good if you want to kind of hone your skills a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Definitely.
And another little time waster that I will add that is just a really interesting article that Stingo pointed out to me in the forums, and I thought, I'll boost the signal slightly. And it is an article that's called Beyond the Pale Male, Marvel Diversity and Changing Comics Relationships. But basically what it's hinging upon is that one of the Marvel executives, I think, did a huge interview about a month ago saying, and part of that interview was him saying that one of the feedbacks he got from some of the comic book stores is that the diversity doesn't sell, which is complete and absolute bullcrap, and this article goes for the reason why it's a bullcrap and how you can't, first of all, you can't track this, and second of all, that's a bullcrap. So there isn't much more to say beyond that, because I think all of us agree that diversity is absolutely great, and there should be more of it in any media. It's an interesting article, I like the way it's written, and check it out. Basically.
Cool.
I'm pulling a Tim here, basically. Okay, so moving on to the main topics of our show. Now, this is the reason why I won't have to Photoshop Vin Diesel onto our cover, because he will actually be the feature of our cover. Joe, talk to me.
Yes. So, I was fortunate enough to go and see Fast and Furious 8, or The Fate of the Furious, if you're across the pond, or even just F8. And it's sometimes just called Fast 8. I don't know. It's got cars in it, Vin Diesel's in it, things happen, things explode, there's half-naked ladies. It's a Fast and Furious movie. Yeah, so I went to see it this week. It's great. I mean, I've got a bit of a soft spot for the whole series, to be honest.
Have you seen every single one of them?
Yeah, I've got them all on Blu-ray at home. I love them. They're so good. Apart from, Tokyo Drift's a little bit crap. Too Fast, Too Furious is also a little bit rubbish.
that one I agree. That one is pretty terrible.
But yeah, since it had a bit of a slump kind of in the middle, like the fourth one's a little bit sketchy. But then Fast 5, when they introduced The Rock, and sort of from there, it's just kind of gone mental and in a really fun and enjoyable way. I mean, one thing that's kind of been great about these movies for a long time is they know how ridiculous they are and they just kind of run with it and enjoy it. And, if everything's not going at 1,000,000 miles an hour and exploding, then it's just not good enough. But yeah, it's great. Vin Diesel, obviously back as Dominic Toretto, the star of the franchise. Sadly, without Paul Walker this time, who obviously died halfway through production of the last film. And it's quite well handled in this film. Like they sort of, obviously, if everyone's seen the last movie, Fast and Furious 7, they handled the death of him in real life in regards to the character actually very well. And that continues in this film. And yeah, there's a few nice little tributes throughout. But, the film itself, the plot is ludicrous. Charlize Theron is this cyber terrorist hacker woman called Cypher who has some dirt on Vin Diesel.
Oh my god. Why does every time cyber terrorist is like called Cypher or something related? Like,
it's because people it's like, ooh, hacking, ooh, scary.
What's one
internet.
Name? What's one name that will tell everything? Cypher, yes.
It's like they download a screenwriting template, and then just kind of forget to change the names sometimes. And it's just like, let's keep that in. That's fine. Yeah. It'll do.
Cypher, that doesn't sound ludicrous at all. And
it's
everyone's
like when hacking is just typing faster.
Yeah, I know. Like, give me control of all those cameras now. Tap, 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 tap. Like, okay, it's done. What? No, it doesn't work like that. I have friends that I work with who are like professional programmers and things like that, and they love hacking in movies because it's just so ridiculous. It's just completely devoid of anything approaching reality. Anyway, back to the movie. So yes, Charlize Theron is this evil cyber terrorist hacker woman called Cypher who has something on Vin Diesel's character, and so he kind of goes rogue and so ends up with her like as part of this scheme to basically take control of weapons of mass destruction. And obviously all his mates, like his family, like The Rock and Michelle Rodriguez as his Mrs. Letty and stuff, they're all like, this isn't dumb, he's not doing this on purpose, she's got something on him and all this kind of stuff. And so there's all this sort of back and forth about, has he really gone rogue? No, of course he hasn't. Yeah, a guy gets hit in the face with a car door. The Rock sort of directs a missile using just his hand.
Well, I believe that. He's the Rock.
Supercars have apparently now become impervious to explosions. Yeah. It's ace. It's a Fast and Furious movie. If you like them, you're gonna like this. It takes that template that the Fast and Furious season has honed so well over the series and just ticks off everything. Has it got half-naked ladies with their bums out on camera? Yes, tick. Has it got fancy supercars doing drag races? Yes, tick. Does Vin Diesel say family far too many times? Yes, tick. Yeah, so it's kind of, there really should be like a Fast and Furious drinking game where it's like, take a shot every time Vin Diesel talks about how important family is to him. You'd be, completely
People would
wasted.
be dead.
You'd be wasted about 20 minutes into the film.
There's alcohol poisoning involved.
yeah, you would die. It's great. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's the best one. I still think probably the last one, Fast and Furious 7, is still probably the best one. Certainly of the more recent movies. But yeah, it's really good fun. I mean, I like a film like this that knows how stupid it is and just enjoys it. Yeah, so recommended, really.
Yeah, that's definitely one I've been looking forward to. Not like I know I'm not going to get much culturally out of Fast and Furious 8.
To put it lightly.
But that's not what I go into it for. I mean, I don't think anyone goes into that film looking for that. But it's the same thing. It's the same way I felt about Pacific Rim. I wanted to go into a movie and watch big robots fight big monsters, and I got that, and that's why I can't wait for the second one. This one, I want to go in and I want to see everything you just mentioned. I want to see all of that because that's what I go to see a Fast and Furious movie for. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm hopefully going to go this weekend and get that watched.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it for sure. I mean, for me, the best thing in this movie and has been for the last few is The Rock. He obviously loves doing these films and he loves playing this character. And every time he's on screen, it just kind of all lights up and just becomes infinitely more fun. And Jason Statham is back in it, and the two of them have great sparring together, and it's just a lot of fun. And sometimes you need a film like this where it's not taking itself too seriously, things are going to explode, it's all fast and exciting, and it's just, really good film, actually. Good fun.
So, do you think Fast and Furious 9 is in the making?
Well, considering how much money this one has made already, I think it's probably a certainty. I know they'd planned to make an 8th film even back when they were making the last one. To be honest, the way it ends the film, I'm not going to talk about spoilers or anything like that. I think it definitely has room to continue. I wouldn't mind seeing another one. I think it could go for another couple of films. They are obviously very formulaic. You know what you're going to get with the Fast and Furious film, and they have a set sort of plot and standard and how they work. But that's okay. And so if they want to make some more, and they probably will, considering how much money this one's made, yeah, I think that would be fine.
But is there a point, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not going to say I'm not a fan of the movies, just never caught on to them, so I don't technically know what they're about.
Cars, explosions, and half-naked ladies.
Okay, well, beyond that, I mean the storylines and what kind of perils they've already encountered and fought through and what's coming next. But would it be the right to say that it's one of those things where every single movie, the danger amps up? And is there going to be a point until the whole Earth, we saved the Earth from exploding, what can we do next?
Oh, well, yeah, they kind of did that in this. I mean, I'm wary of saying too much, because of spoilers, but one thing that was in the trailer is there's a submarine. So this one's got submarine versus cars. I'm not sure where they can go after that, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, when you've seen, a Lamborghini and other fancy supercars going one-on-one with a submarine, I don't really think they can go any higher than that. That's kind of, peak Fast
aircraft
and Furious
carrier.
Right there.
Cars versus aircraft carrier.
Yeah. So, I mean, it definitely has reached sort of a zenith of ridiculousness in terms of how big they can go. But I'm sure they'll find some other way of kind of making something even more crazy happen. And to be honest, you watch this film and the characters should all be dead 10 times over. It's like I said before about supercars becoming impervious to explosions. Well, apparently all of these humans are too. But that's okay. Nobody goes into a movie like this and starts picking it out for sort of factual reality. It's just anyone that does needs to probably get a life. But yeah, I mean, I hope they make another one. I'd definitely go and see it. Yeah, I can't see them stopping here. They're too successful. They're like one of the biggest franchises around now, so...
Hey, if 8 movies in, they get in so much cash at the cinema and people are liking their movies.
It was crazy. It was packed out. Yeah, I mean, we went on Wednesday night. It opened on the Wednesday, and it was an 8:30 showing, and it was like the big screen in Leamington, the bigger screen in the cinema, and it was completely full. It was totally packed out. So I think it's made a ton of money in America already. Yeah, I think it will be quite the success.
Well, going from fantasy cars to sci-fi ships, I guess? I don't know if you could... Well, it is a sci-fi franchise. Anyway, what I'm segueing is to that actually a couple of weeks ago now, I finished Mass Effect Andromeda. I won't spend 20 minutes talking about it because I feel like my opinion of it hasn't changed since the last time we spoke. I've really, really loved the game. I don't think it's by no means perfect, and I don't think it's for everyone, and people possibly won't be able to get over some of its shortcomings, which I completely understand. I mean, since the last time we spoke, they have released a patch that solved quite a few issues, and it looks better, and they'll keep doing that, but it just comes back to the conversations that studios keep releasing broken games. And that is not a right thing to do, and that is not a good thing to do, even though you can technically get through, no, it's not even a word of the means of technically. You can play Mass Effect Andromeda. I played it before the patch. I had a blast playing it. That is not to say there aren't annoyances and things that distract you from the experience and places where you think, technically, it could be more polished. It can. Leaving all that aside, as I said, I've really, really loved it. I do not think it's the best one out of all of them. Even... It's a funny thing, it seems like ever since Mass Effect Andromeda came out, the original trilogies suddenly grew some wings and sped up into heaven and became like the most perfect, bestest thing ever. And I'm like, guys, it's not. Really not.
No, of course not.
They're great games, but they're not saint-like. Currently, it sits firmly above Mass Effect 1, but below Mass 3 and Mass 2, and I think that's a great space to be, actually. If I would compare it to something, and now, bear with me, I'll explain what it is. I would compare it to Avengers Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay.
And I'll explain why. It has some fantastic moments, and some moments where you go, what? It has some places where you think, okay, the circumstances were working against you. This is not great, but I get why you had to do what you had to do. And it is also working, Avengers Age of Ultron and Mass Effect Andromeda work under a greatest assumption that they absolutely have to set up a bunch load of things in the future. To me, it felt that Age of Ultron was just constantly setting up the future Marvel movies to come, and Andromeda, at the end of it, left so many unanswered questions that it feels like a bunch of the game has been spent setting up its either DLC or any future games. And there were points in there where I was like, well, this is a really interesting storyline. For example, and this is without spoiling anything really, the Ryder's family storyline is probably one of the most interesting ones, and the way it's resolved and the way it gets developed and what happens at the end, and you actually get a pretty big revelation as to what happens there. And there's some things that happen at the beginning of the game, and I didn't really feel for them. I was like, all right, okay, so this happened. But as I kept exploring the storyline, actually the feeling of sadness that I should have experienced from the event that happened at the very beginning, it caught up with me. And I was like, oh, now I feel the whole weight to it. I feel the whole gravity. Now it feels really sad because of the way it has been built up, and that was great. And then they set up one of the biggest mystery of the game, and they just not explain it. And they're like, okay, toodaloo, see you in DLC, or in future Mass Effect games. Ta! They're like, what? Come on, give me something.
I suppose that was going to be my biggest question, because despite all of the multiple issues that people have raised, both technically and some people have said with the story, I still do want to eventually get back to Mass Effect Andromeda and play through it. But what would annoy me more than anything is something that I think a recent game avoided. And I know both, Alex, I'm not sure if you've completed it, but I know Joe has. You've both completed Horizon at this stage,
no,
have you?
I still haven't.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't spoil that then. Or I wasn't going to spoil it anyway, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it has a conclusion.
It has exactly.
Yeah.
The story, it tells its story, and it concludes that story. It gives you an ending. And then it kind of teases, it kind of gives you a little idea of where they might go next. But it doesn't actually, like, it gives you, to the main story, it gives you an ending. I just wanted to know, in terms of Mass Effect Andromeda, does it do that, or does it leave too many strings kind of floating in the air that you kind of go, well, it does really feel like a kind of a to be continued rather than an ending?
Yes and no. Mass Effect Andromeda, essentially, and this is not really a spoiler, it's a story about traveling different universe and settling there. And that is this major plot arc going from the beginning to the end of the series. And that is a thing that gets resolved by the end. But as you go through that route, you pick up certain mysteries here and there. There is this weird space anomaly called the Scourge, and this is one of the first things that you encounter when you arrive in a Mass Effect. Bump into that thing, it damages your ship, but you still don't know what it is, really. Like, it's one of those mysteries, it's kind of similar to the Reapers. It's like a big thing that's so big that you don't really understand what it is, and you're left with wanting to know what happens to it more. But even in the original kind of Mass Effect games, the mystery that you had, if you think about it, was Reapers and the Protheans were the two mysteries that even after you resolved the story, that's the thing that you had that was unknown.
Yeah.
Whereas in Mass Effect Andromeda, there are a couple of these big players that you're not necessarily entangled with at the moment, but they're kind of big universal questions that you're not really sure what they are and how much they play into bigger picture. And they're also kind of different side questy stuff that, like I said, the writers, the family story that brings up one of their bigger revelations that never answered. So those are left hanging, and it's one of those things where, like, I can see that's a story that will basically be covered in a DLC. It could be resolved in like a really nice, concise story that will last you about 3 hours, and that's it. But still, it feels like it's a bit too much. There's a little too many of those little things left unanswered. I'd rather there been like one big thing, like the Reapers, that you didn't know what it is. But they have that, and a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit over there.
So for me then, based on what I said earlier, do you think I should possibly wait for a Mass Effect Andromeda Game of the Year edition or something, with that extra DLC that might close off some of those dangling
I think
lines?
so. I honestly, and as much as it pains me to say that, I think basically wait until the moment they stop supporting the game. When they've done all the DLCs, when they patched out absolutely everything they planned to patch out, and when they said, okay, we're done with Andromeda, we're moving on to whatever the hell moving on, that's when you pick up the game and you play it, because then it's as perfect as it can possibly get. You also won't miss out on if they suddenly decide to change something, even story-wise, between some of the patches. For example, they're gonna patch out one of the conversations for a transgender character. So I've encountered that character before the patch. For example, you felt like you wanted to meet her for the first time and the conversation was right, you kind of missed that opportunity already, you know what I mean? So I would wait until they're done with all of that, and that is still a recommendation to get that game, because I think it deserves to be played. There's a lot to enjoy about that. And in the meantime, you can still get the game and have fun playing multiplayer, because that is really, really fun. And the single player, just leave it until they're totally saying, yes, that's it, we're done, that's it, we're moving on.
Okay. When this next batch of games kind of finally dies down and we get into the summer, I might actually be able to pick it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help it that it's been released in the month where the world went completely crazy with gaming RPGs, and you're like from one open world to another open world, and you're going, oh my god, open worlds!
Yeah, I've still got
a lot
ones
of
from last year to play.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy 15 keeps looking at me, and I'm like, not today.
But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna move on from Mass Effect Andromeda. It still has my recommend, but with a bunch of caveats. I am working on absolutely humongous either review or a think piece. It depends what it is. And I apologize, probably to you, Diarmuid, because you might be editing it just for the sheer word count on that thing.
That's okay.
So that'll be long, and you can look out for the, hopefully, maybe even before this podcast comes out. I don't know. But a thing that I quickly will mention on that topic, and something that really surprised me in a really great way, is an Andromeda prequel novel called Nexus Uprising. So it released on the same day as the game has been released, and it tells you a story of the Nexus. So if kind of going from the story of Andromeda, so when they set out to travel there, there were 4 arcs that were dedicated to different species of the Milky Way galaxy: Turians, Solarians, Asari, and humans. But along with them, and actually before them, came this absolutely huge ship called the Nexus, which is Mass Effect Andromeda's answer to the Citadel from the original trilogy. And Nexus was supposed to serve as kind of their seat of the government, and it contained a mixture of all the different races, but it also had the Andromeda Initiative kind of had all their management and their organization and people who inspired this whole campaign going. And upon arrival to Andromeda, which they did before all the arcs, something went wrong. And as you can guess from the title of the book, an uprising happened within the ship because of the certain events. I think it's actually a really great sci-fi book that necessarily doesn't even have to be a Mass Effect book. It's about a people stuck on a metal ship floating in space in the area they don't know. They don't know if the planets are habitable. They don't know where their next resources, meals, air, shower are coming from. There are a bunch of different races, all come with their own little quirks and inside tensions, and they can't quite get along. They all trying to survive, but there are bureaucrats with some priorities. There are people who are we just want to stop working. We tried to save the ship for the last 24 hours. Can we have some food? And you guys are rationing us. In that sense, I actually think this is a pretty great novel. The only thing I honestly think it suffers is that it's absolutely targeted to Mass Effect fans. It's written well enough, and the story on its own is well enough, and kind of easily explainable without knowing anything about the Mass Effect trilogy, that it could be read by anyone. Probably the only thing the book would need to add is a bit more description of each races to catch up the reader on what they are, but otherwise it could be just a really great sci-fi book.
So is there too much fan service, or?
No, there isn't. I don't think there is at all.
Okay.
You follow the characters that you meet actually in Andromeda. Sloane Kelly, who's a human. Cash, the Krogan engineer. Kandras, he's the Turian security guy. There is Tan, who is Solarian, who's you'll see in Andromeda as well, and Foster Addison, human head of the colonization department and whatever. So these are the main characters. You'll see them in Andromeda, but in the actual game. But yeah, no, they just follow their storylines and how they deal with that and what happens to them, and with some of them quite dramatically, and goes through the whole details of this uprising.
Nice.
It's really good. Written by Jason M. Howe, I think, and Casey Alexander, and just a really nice book. And I'm actually surprised because I haven't read any Mass Effect books before, but I've read some Dragon Age books, and even though I like them, they are very for the fans, whereas I feel like this one doesn't have to be only for the fans.
Okay, not to keep bringing it back to me, but seeing as you know that I'm going to be getting Mass Effect soon,
yeah.
Does this, I know you said it's a prequel book, but can it actually be read before you do the game?
No, you won't get any kind of spoilers about the game. You'll just get what's happening to the Nexus. And in the game, they touch on the uprising, but they don't go in as many details as it happens there.
Okay.
And because I know you like audiobooks, and I listened to the audiobook version of it, it is read out by Fryda Wolf, who is the voice of the female writer in the Mass Effect Andromeda, and she's just really, really good.
I want to take a picture right now and send it to you. I'm on the Audible page. I'm just about to buy the book. I was like, I just wanted to make sure, can I do this before the book? Okay, yeah, in that case I'll buy it.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm probably going to give that a read. Definitely.
Tensions, bureaucracy, survival, mysterious space, being stuck on a crazy ship. Yeah, it's all good.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna stop talking about Mass Effect now. Until the new DLC comes out, you won't hear anything about Mass Effect from me. Promise. Okay.
Lies.
Okay, Diarmuid, tell us about the Symphony of the Machine.
Okay, this is going to be a really weird one because I really can't actually tell you all that much, purely because I've got a review code for this actually, and it only went live, the code went live today. So I downloaded it this morning, and kind of between our Overwatch sessions when we had a few hours of spare time.
Like a 5-minute break, you mean?
Exactly, yes. But I kind of wanted to just give it a try, just see, okay, just start it off, but not actually, play through the whole bloody thing or anything. But it basically, Symphony of the Machine is a PlayStation VR game, it's a puzzle game, and it's from Stirfire Studios. I started up the game, and I just kind of want to talk you through what I saw or whatever. So I had the headset on, and I got to the main menu, kind of hit X to continue. And then the game just starts. You're just there. There's no context. There's no nothing. You appear on this kind of rocky terrain. There's very little around you, but right in front of you is this very simple puzzle. There's basically an orb over here. There's a pillar over here with an orb-shaped hole. And it's like, okay, I wonder what I have to do here. So you grab the orb and you put it into the hole. And sure enough, that allows you to progress on. And it kind of goes from there. Moving around is... I was using the Move controller, but I think you can actually use a regular controller as well with this. I need to test that, but I can't be certain yet. But you move around by pressing the Move button on the top. And it opens up this sort of like a grenade arc, like a visible arc that it fires you. You can actually aim up and kind of point where you want to go, and then you press the button again and you kind of warp there. So that's how you move around in the world, because obviously it's a VR world, so movement is a bit strange, but that's how you do it. Using on the face buttons of the around the PlayStation Move button is like the face buttons on like X, triangle, circle, square. You use those then to kind of turn in segments, to turn on the spot, so you don't have to kind of look directly behind you. You can actually just move around, and that's all the kind of movement stuff. So I kind of moved on. I got to this tower. I went up the tower, and it's, as I said, it's a puzzle game. So I start solving these puzzles, and the entire experience is just, so far, again, as I said, I haven't played much of this, but so far it is incredibly good. It's responsive, the tracking works, like technically the tracking works. The world building is quite good because you see cave drawings, like, as I said, they don't give you any context for any of this. You don't know what's going on, but then you see kind of cave drawings that hint at a past to this world and what you're doing on this big tower and what its importance and all that kind of stuff. And I just like it, I've just gotten a taste of it, but I cannot wait to go back to it. And I just wanted to mention it now because I hadn't really played anything else other than Overwatch. The only other game I've played recently is Persona 5, and despite the fact that I'm almost 6 hours into it, I'm still practically in the tutorial, so I can't really talk about that too much.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to talk about this because I do think it's quite good so far, and I'm really looking forward to getting back into it.
It sounds really interesting. I'm kind of like, for some reason, it's reminding me from what you're describing of things like Myst, where it's really obtuse, the story, and like you're really just discovering it as you're exploring around.
Yeah.
Is it kind of along those lines, or does it have a bit more sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say actiony elements, but sort of more...
So far I haven't come across any actiony elements, and I've kind of, since I actually played it, when I got the offer for the review code, I didn't actually look into it. I just saw a PlayStation VR game, and I thought, I hadn't played a PlayStation VR game in a while, like a new one, and I was like, okay, I'll give that a look. And I kind of started playing it, and it's only after I've come out that I've started looking up on it. And the entire premise, like if you go to the website for Symphony of the Machine, they talk about it being a VR game with a difference, and they wanted it to be kind of a peaceful, serene, and pleasant environment for you to kind of, work around and look at and kind of explore, rather than being fast-paced and kind of intense and in your face. And so far, I think they're nailing it. I'm really looking forward to seeing where the game goes from here. And I don't think there's like a direct story being kind of thrown at you. I think it's one of those things that if you want to know what's going on in this world, you really have to explore and kind of get that story from your environment and see what's happening. And so far, it's really, really good.
I think sort of games and ideas like that seem to lend themselves really well to VR. Like, it's kind of, you see a lot of titles on VR that are really sort of actiony and kind of rhythm games and space games and shooting and things like that. But I kind of, for me, like, what interests me most about sort of VR titles and what might eventually make me want to sort of play them more is games like that, and like things like games like The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, things like that in VR, where you can just kind of explore and get lost in this world. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, and again, it's not frightening, so I can play it. So that's all good. And as I said, it's on PlayStation VR right now, but I do know that it's also either available or going to be available on Oculus and HTC Vive.
Nice.
So if people want to look into that, I believe it releases, I think it's going to be in next week. So you can have a look out for that.
Cool.
That's good to know, because we have a kind of weird selection of VR games coming through us with our PSVR, because Tim's obviously reviewing some of them. But so far, none of it looks like something that I will actually play. There was one where I don't remember what. I should really look it up because he had a Bigger Barrel UK episode on that game, but it was a puzzle game where he literally spent about 40 minutes squaring on the screen and trying to figure out the puzzle. And you know that he was really at his low point where he turned around and he was like, help me try to figure this out. And I'm like, what? Me? The person who hates puzzles? You're asking me to help you out with it?
Was this a possibly frightening game? Like a scary looking thing?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that might be Weeping Doll you're talking about.
No. That wasn't Weeping Doll. That was the one of... I think it was by the same company, but their next one.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember he was talking about that one. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head now, but yeah, I remember that one now.
Yeah, he gave that one as a passable, so I think it's okay that I don't remember its name. Okay, now back to me talking again. Sorry, everyone. At least Diarmuid is excited.
Oh no, don't misread my silence.
I threw Joe under the bus with that one.
Yeah, cheers, man.
No. You just kind of pushed her lightly, and then I rolled all over her with this one.
I take all my love back.
No.
So guys, do you remember when about 10 years ago, Josh Holloway from The Lost was all the hot rage and everyone was going crazy about Josh Holloway?
Oh, yes.
I vaguely remember.
I believe I wrote a list on some forum somewhere saying that he should play Solid Snake if they make a movie. So
wow.
I definitely liked him.
Wow. Well, yeah, Josh Holloway has really disappeared since then.
I can't even remember what he looks like. I'm struggling to think.
You know, one thing I can tell you. That bleepart did not age a bloody second. It's really frustrating, because I was a teenager when he was hot.
Yeah,
and I'm not a teenager anymore, and he's still hot.
Certain actors just seem impervious to age, like Keanu Reeves. He's like 50 years old. It's ridiculous.
Oh my god.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, so this is very long-winded segment that basically for me to say that I've accidentally started watching Colony on Netflix.
Accidentally, I love that. It just started itself. I didn't mean to.
Did you fall over on the way to the couch?
Yeah, no. What happens is I had my university like a big presentation deadline this Thursday. And before then, there was, for about 3 days, I worked from morning until like 1 a.m. And to keep myself going and awake, I need to watch something. So I need some kind of really averagely interesting TV show, preferably on Netflix, which I can just click. It doesn't require much effort like paying or downloading or whatever. And I can just keep watching it to keep me going. So The Colony was one of those things where I looked at it and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. Has Josh Holloway, hadn't seen him in a while. Has Sarah Wynn Callies, I think that's her name, if you remember her as Laurie from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah, so she is Josh Holloway's wife. And, do you know what? I quite like Colony.
Ooh.
I've not expected that to happen, but it's fairly interesting. I mean, one of the most not fascinating things, but it's the thing that I wish more, not just TV series, but also book done, because I think that's a more interesting way to present the story of the universe that you set in. So The Colony is kind of in a near future setting. The aliens, the mysterious aliens have come up and they've colonized the Earth, which is now divided into a bunch of segments. And no one really kind of sees the aliens and knows what they're about. The aliens have selected a specific group of individuals that rule the different colonies of Earth on their behalf. People kind of, they hate them, they don't hate them, it's weird that, you know, they throw it in their face. Why are you're working against your own race? You're working for the aliens, that kind of thing. And you follow the story of Josh Holloway and Sarah Callies. I think his name is Will and her name is Katie. It does not really matter. It's fine. Josh and Sarah will do. And Josh used to be either an FBI agent or something before their arrival, but then he gets recruited by the government to get rid of this resistance group who are very pro-Earth and trying to do everything to destabilize the government that is ruling them, aka working for the aliens. The way it is all presented is that you don't know any of that until the end of the first episode. And I don't want to say more because there are more kind of things that you realize, but this is kind of a pitch that you'll probably read about, and you know, if you come across the description of the show, the aliens took over the Earth and so on. But it just unfolds, you start with a completely normal scene of them being, in the kitchen, having a completely normal breakfast. You realize that something might have went wrong with their family because they have 3 children and 1 child is missing. So something happened to that child. And then as they go further into the city, you see, this something is not right. It's not like a normal America. I think they're in Los Angeles. So yes, it doesn't look like a normal Los Angeles. There are bits and pieces that are a bit off. And then you keep just putting everything together from various conversations, from the things you see happening on billboards and from how people react and for the fact that for some reason they don't have all kinds of medicine. Some of the medicine has been restricted and there are these huge walls that are dividing places for some reason. And that is how you piece the whole story together and more about who the aliens are and how that happened. In my opinion, it's a better way than some stories happen and they go, 20 years ago, the aliens have arrived on Earth and wiped most of the humanity. Now, scattered group of people are rising against the aliens. Like, this is just like, yes, let's hit you with this information over the head. No, I'd rather learn about that and piece that all together from various different scenes and conversation of characters rather than just be like, there you go, here's what happened. Don't use your brain to work and figure things out at all.
Well, yeah, one of the main kind of lessons any director would learn when they're making movies is show, don't tell. Exactly. It sounds like this TV show is actually doing that, so that's good.
Yeah, it's always nice when a show or a movie or something like that actually treats its audience as if they do have some semblance of intelligence. There's nothing worse than going into something like this and it's just talking to you as if you're a complete moron.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
Yeah, I think that's really good. I've only watched the first season because it's on UK Netflix, so I think it's actually worth checking out. There is a second season that has been out this year that I haven't seen yet. It's by no means a groundbreaking series or the one that every episode will keep you in suspense, but I think it's interesting in its own way, and it still has some of the kind of weird tropes that you're like, all right, you can see those guys are kind of trying to be like cops, but they're in a slightly different setting now and so on. But, I don't think it's even to the level of the first couple of seasons of The Walking Dead. I don't know what's The Walking Dead like now, but
hit and miss.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Walking Dead kind of kept the tension up a little bit more. You can see that it doesn't have budget, is not great. They do what they can with it, but I think it's still kind of really interesting. And god damn it, Josh Holloway, will you age? That's The Colony.
And what did you say that was on? Netflix, eh?
Netflix, yeah.
I'd have to give that a watch.
Netflix UK, yeah.
If only we were on a long weekend where I had a lot of time so I could watch something interesting.
I know.
But we have to play more Overwatch.
That's is also true.
Needs to happen.
Yeah. What is that? What is the difficulty of the PE past the expert that we haven't done yet?
Legendary, I think.
Legendary. We need to do that.
There's normal, hard, expert, and legendary, I think.
Yeah, there's 4, isn't there? 4 difficulties.
I wish they made like a trophy if you did.
They do.
They do have a trophy if you did.
They do have a trophy, but they only have it for the other modes other than normal. So you should have gotten a trophy for the expert one that you finished.
No, I didn't get it. Maybe I had to do it with the characters that they set out, not random characters.
Sorry, excuse me. Yes, you have to do it, the main Uprising one, not the
not in
all
the
characters.
Mystery
Sorry,
Heroes
I
one.
should have said that, yeah.
Well, that will be hard.
Yep.
Yeah, I tried it today and it was just on normal and we were doing fine, but then one of our team left and I was like, well, this is great, because I was playing Mercy, so of course just became damage sponge and we lost.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I think we've coming to the end of our show. So it's time to say thank you to a couple of people. Ooh, Diarmuid, can you do the forums, please?
Oh, great. Well, we'd like to say thank you to Stingo. Sorry. Stingo! There we go. Richard Kirk and some lovely gentleman called Diarmuid? Something like
I think
that.
you pronounced it right, yeah?
Yeah, I think that's if I haven't pronounced it right, I apologize.
I hear he's got a fabulous voice.
I also hear that.
Yeah, I hear he also thinks that my horrible Zarya impression was really good.
Yes. I read that he also agreed. That We may have differing opinions, but yeah, I think that...
Joe, do you want to do the Twitter?
So over on Twitter, we'll say a big thank you and hello to Will Driver at WillDriver93 and also Mr. Richard Kirk at Richard Kirk.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, on that note, if you, maybe some of you haven't noticed, but probably most of you have, but last week we've actually released 2 episodes. Mr. Coleman has been working overtime editing those together, and the first episode was, you know, our usual episode with Lauren, Joe, and me go blah 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 blah, and then the special episode were a compilation of Lauren's interviews from this year's BAFTAs, and good God, like, she got to speak to Jeff Kaplan.
Yep, our God and Savior.
Our God.
Jeff Kaplan.
Yeah. I was so gel. And then some of the names are crazy, like John Romero, but also Cece Jones, and I love Firewatch, and I would be like all over the Cece Jones
brilliant.
if I could speak to her.
The thing is, I have very little sympathy for you though, Alex, because you met Nolan North, so shh.
I didn't meet Nolan North. She
I thought you
met
did.
Nolan North.
Was it?
No.
I thought you did as well. No? Was it just Lauren?
No, last year when we went, she was interviewing... Not Nolan North. God,
Troy?
her name is... Troy Baker, thank you.
Yeah.
Lauren was interviewing Troy Baker, and I was standing behind her, and she was like, "It's my friend Alex." And I went, "Oh my god, hi!"
Yeah, that's why I have no sympathy for you.
I met Troy Baker once at the release of Infamous Second Son, and I remember I was so nervous that I forgot to take a picture of me and him, but I did take a picture of him and Rick just so happened to look exactly like the character from the game, so that was weird.
That works
is a
out.
bit peculiar.
That works out.
Yeah, I think I'd melt if I ever met Troy Baker. I think I would, yeah. I'd be like, hello.
Yeah, considering I have met some voice actors who I was, I was a little bit infatuated with their characters in the game, like, slightly obsessed, possibly still am, and then I met that person live. It wasn't, I mean, I didn't say anything too embarrassing, but I think you could see, like, me shaking, hi!
Oh yeah, I'd be, honestly, like I say, if I met Troy Baker, and especially if he said something like, as Joel, I'd be like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. I would just...
Or, you know, just hello.
Yeah. If he put on that Joel voice, that southern drawl, I'd just be like...
Hello, my name's Troy Baker. Why are you on the ground quivering? What is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so my point was, please do check out that episode of Geek Speak, because there's lots of absolutely fantastic people from the games industry telling Lauren about their games, and there's a bunch of BAFTA winners and hosts and just guests of honor, and I also do really cheesy, horrible introductions to every segment.
Yay!
So that's probably a downside, but you should still check that episode out. On that note, if you guys would like to chat with us, talk with us, send us questions, and other stuff that are hopefully nice, you can do so on the forums of biggerbarrel.com. You can do so on Facebook, facebook.com/biggerbarrel, or on Twitter @biggerbarrel, preferably using hashtag GeekSpeak so we can easier find your tweets. You can talk to us directly on the Twitters. I'm at DustyTulip_.
I'm at Pixel Ritual.
I'm at Diarmuid_S.
You can also join our Gamer Nights group on facebook.com and join us to play, I don't know, Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer, Overwatch. I think we're getting more people playing PC, so if you play multiplayer games on PC, do come check out the group out. We're growing that side of our community as well. I can't remember what I have to say. I probably should say something about Tabletop Tuesday, that it happens every Tuesday.
You should.
And even though we are on Easter holidays, that doesn't affect the Tuesday, because we'll be back next Tuesday playing games in Loading Bar at Dalston in London town, which happens every Tuesday. And if you play the feature game on the night, you might even win the copy of that game by the end of the night. So it's all real good and stuff. Yeah. Oh, and finally, we'll also add that all our podcasts are also now coming on YouTube. So if you are lovely weirdo and you listen to your podcast on YouTube, you can do so with our podcast, and you can leave us a comment on YouTube, and we will read it out on the show.
And if you're listening to us right now on YouTube,
hi!
Congratulations, weirdo!
Oh, that's
Yay,
gone
weirdo,
a bit
we
meta.
like you. Well done.
Yeah. We're speaking to you from beyond the fourth wall. But we love weirdos. Weirdos are the best types of people. We're all weirdos.
We're weirdos, yeah. I was just going to say.
I'm like the ultimate weirdo. Beyond weird. Just Ugh, I can barely talk to people. Yes. Weirdos are great.
Yeah, I don't really know how we communicate with you, Joe. You're that weird.
She's in the upside down, that's how.
I mean, is there really an up or down? It might be just all gravity and
it's all relative.
Damn it. Didn't we just have that conversation, by the way, a couple of days ago? About
we
up and
did,
down?
yeah. There was a... Yeah. Oh my god.
I cannot wait for season 2, oh my.
Yes, well, it's Halloween, isn't it? It's too far.
Today,
Yes.
a teaser trailer for Star Wars The Last Jedi released, and I still can't wait for Stranger Things season 2 more.
Ooh.
Just saying. Just putting it out
I haven't
there.
watched the Star Wars trailer yet. I might give it a watch.
Oh yeah, while we're in trailer mode, that Thor trailer though.
That's amazing. What a trailer.
He's a work friend!
Yeah. Yes, I know him. He's a friend from work.
I do remember, though, seeing articles when that released, and I was like, or someone, I think it was Polygon, put up an article saying, the Thor Ragnarok trailer proves that they've introduced the one thing Thor needed, which was comedy. And it was like, I kind of did a double take on that.
Wait, have they not seen The Dark World?
Well, exactly. Number one, there's been comedy in all of them. But number two, the thing that got me was, we've known for ages this was being directed by Taika Waititi, the guy who did
great,
What We Do in the Shadows and other stuff like that.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Exactly. Did you not know it was going to be funny? Did you not know what this guy has done before?
Speaking of that director, you should follow him on Twitter. He is great
hilarious.
at Twitter. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
No, that's one of the things that I've loved the Thor movies because Thor is probably my favourite Avenger, closely followed by Hulk. So I'm actually very excited for this film.
So is it mostly Thor's arms?
Just all of him. all of yes, he'll do. But as soon as I heard that Taika Waititi was the director, I was like, yes, this will be good. This will be good. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And yeah, the trailer was brilliant. Excellent use of Led Zeppelin. You can't go wrong when you put Led Zeppelin in a trailer.
How did they get the rights to that? That is
because,
shocking.
Because, Led Zeppelin really like money.
Probably.
The funny thing, well, just before that trailer released, I was, while working, rewatching Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and that song is the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo opening, and I was like, what?
Which one? The original one? The Swedish one?
No, not the original. The one on Netflix, which is why I was watching it, with Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig.
To be fair, I mean, I think that film's great. I think David Fincher did a really good job with that material.
It's okay.
It was a shame.
The Swedish ones are still better, but it was okay.
For sure. Lisbeth Salander is definitively Noomi Rapace, not Rooney Mara. But I actually think the intro of the American version, brilliant. So good. So well put together. That's one of the best openings to a film ever. But yeah, anyway, we're getting carried away.
Yeah, we were saying goodbye, and on that note, by the way, if anyone wants to leave us a little star rating and a review on iTunes, would like totally really like that. Like, it'd be super cool. And yeah, weirdo podcast where we go on complete random tangents when we're about to, say bye, but let's talk about trailers for a bit, and now we're gonna say bye again, and hopefully
it will stick this time.
Anyway, for episode 85 of Bigger Barrel Geek Speak, I have been Butts.
I have been thinking a bit too much about Thor since our last conversation.
I've been Diarmuid, not waiting for Overwatch, and also having bought that audiobook we talked about earlier.
Nice. Well, maybe we should go play Overwatch now. I think people are just gearing up. I saw
That's
something.
That's probably a good
WhatsApp.
idea.
Okay, and we bid you goodbye. Bye.
Bye.
Butts.
You and your ears are quite welcome.
For the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarrel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarrel.com.